and there was this like shadow. And because I thought it was my mom, because I said, "Mom, thanks for laying in bed with me."
Yeah.
And she said, "I didn't lay in bed with you." Because when I said time lapse, basically this shadow entity came over, sat with me, and we was chopping it up, girl. When I tell you we was I'm not even playing, we was chopping it up. That's
Yeah.
why it was such a familiar spirit that I thought it was my mother.
What were y'all
It was
saying to each other?
okay, so it was no words. It was
Hmm.
just all feels and like it came over, sat with me on my bed. Let me know everything's cool. You are good. Let's get you feeling better.
Yeah.
Laid with me like um I felt like I was tumbling in the bed like
Mm.
with the entity, like I was like playing like
Hmm.
playing like wrestling in the bed like
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
was chopping it up
And
like
this
with
is
my
like your
little
is this like your spirit doing this or like your physical body? Because I asked this because you had just had a cesarean, right?
I
Like you
had
had
just
just.
had a cesarean, so this must have been my spirit.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl E, and this is another episode of the Vision Rebirth podcast. This is a podcast where we explore life changing stories of near death experiences, out of body experiences, divine dreams, meditations, and encounters with higher beings. And today we have a special guest. She's an author, poet, singer, songwriter, oracle, spiritual teacher, expressive healer, seer, and water alchemist. We have Sarah Chippis, also known as Lighthouse Delphi. How are you doing today, Sarah?
Yes, thank you so much. The vibes are so good over here. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
For sure. So, for you, which I find very interesting. It's like you had an NDE right as you were giving birth. So it was like as you were giving life, it's like life was being taken from you. Like how did that? First of all, just like how did that feel? Because it's like you're you're giving birth to your, I believe it was your son, right?
Yes, my son.
And about to be a mother, and all of a sudden it's like that's not so for a second. So can you just explain how that even felt?
Yes, it definitely felt very surreal because in the moment, um, what was real to me was what I was experiencing. And even though I was experiencing it, what I could say alone, because even
Hmm.
though there was like a bunch of nurses and my mom was there, and I had just given birth, um, this experience was personal, very personable, and sacred. And so um all I cared about, I remember, like, is my son okay? Like, I kept telling my
Right.
mom, like, to go with my son, because um I just wanted her to go with him, because I was taking care of what I was needing to take care of.
Right.
It's very weird and hard to explain, because um I didn't realize that I was dying.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, oh, you're dying, so it was just like um time almost stood still, so I don't even know what was how can I explain it, like the realities merged
Right.
almost, like
Interesting.
that. Yeah, so even though, so it's not like I was thinking, like, oh, I just gave birth and now I'm dying. I had no, like, it wasn't like that at all. It was more like, okay, my son, go with my son, go be with my son. But then I was
Right.
like in and out of reality, in and out of this reality.
Right. Interesting. And what I found interesting about your near death experience is that, like you said, it seemed so sudden. Like it seemed like you were, on this side of things, and then like that, you were on the other side of things. So can you just like sort of explain like how like the I guess like just how you went, like the like what happened to get you on the other side and where you were?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like so my consciousness didn't, how do I explain this? Okay. No matter how many times I tell the story, no matter how many times I like re-experience it, it's
Hmm.
still somehow difficult to explain into words. And so like I always pray and I ask God like help me, even like with my downloads when I do my readings. I'm like, okay, God, how do I say this? Because I have a feeling, I have experience, I have an expression, but it's like how do you take something so profound and put it into
It's a human
words where
word.
somebody could try to, yeah, into human words where they could try to digest it to understand like what was that moment like. And all I could tell you is like when I was like in and out of consciousness, like I was still alive in and out of consciousness,
Hmm.
that felt like I was here and then I was asleep and then I was here and I was asleep. But when I
Mm.
completely like went to that place, it
Yeah.
was like everything faded. There was no hospital, there was nobody around. Like it was me and God, like me and peace, me and serenity, me and just this overwhelming love and like warmth and like just feeling so serene and like I was excited too. I had like this
Hmm.
feeling of like it was like Disneyland on steroids or Disney World, like a kid going on vacation. And it happened so fast because it was like I was in the hospital. I could feel like all the tension and chaos around me. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't there. And I was at a beach, I was on the ocean.
Interesting. And you
And
didn't go through a tunnel. Like, a lot of people mention like a tunnel. You was just instantly on the beach.
I was instantly on the beach. And there, when I was on the beach, I was completely like conscious. It wasn't like, when I was in my body and I was in and out of consciousness, it was like I was asleep and I was awake and I was asleep, I was awake. When I went over and I was in the beach, I was completely conscious. Like I knew where I was. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. Wow, I feel God. Like this is amazing.
Hmm.
Like I'm going into the water. Like it was such a relief.
Hmm.
It was such a relief. And I actually have done several podcasts and I've never brought this up, but God's bringing it up to me right now of like how much of a relief I felt.
Hmm.
I was like, thank God I'm not there anymore. Like like it was
Right.
uncomfortable, it was painful, it was hot, people were
Right.
running around acting crazy, all the
Right.
doctors, I'm like, get me the hell away from there. And I was in this like safe beautiful place and there was no question of like where am I, because I felt like I was in God's presence.
Mm.
It was like, thank God. It's almost like you ever work like a 10 or 12-hour day and then you go home and you're like, I'm
And it's just
home.
like, yeah,
Woo!
yeah. Just like
That's
collapse
what
on
it
the
felt
couch.
like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. And it was crazy because my body was so weak
Hmm.
back, like at my body was so weak, but I was so being in this place, I didn't feel weak. It was like the week was a thing of the past,
Right.
like I felt strong. I felt great. I was like ready to go to the next place, whatever
Mm.
that meant. And I knew once I go to the water, once I like go towards the water, it was going to be the next place. And I was like
Okay.
eager. I was eager, girl. I was so eager. I was like, let's go.
Interesting. So like you were almost in a it almost sounds like you were in like a holding place. Like you were in like it doesn't sound like you were in like the actual like I don't want to call it the actual place of heaven, but it sounds like you were like, getting ready to transfer. Like you were in that middle state of, oh, I'm about to go. And that was the
I,
what the water represented.
I always call it, because like in my book, my chapter, God told me to name it water portal. And God told me
Mm,
that the water was the portal to go to the
interesting.
afterlife. And so when you said, did I see a tunnel? No, but maybe to some the portal looks like a tunnel, or the portal
Mm,
looks like a light, or the port, but to me the portal was water.
yeah, interesting. And like who, because you saw people, other people in the water, correct? Like, did you ever get any, clarity about like who these people were or what they represented?
So like while it was happening, I was just taking in the feeling, like the
Mm,
emotions, and like it's really weird because nobody's like, they didn't look at me, neither group, because there was a mom and a baby to the left of me, and then there was a
hmm,
group of three guys to the right of me,
interesting.
and they didn't look at me. Neither one of the groups acknowledged me. They were in their, and they didn't even acknowledge each other. They were in their own heaven, their own happiness. And they were
Interesting.
just like experiencing each other. But I zoned in. It was really, I don't know how long this was, but it felt like 2 seconds. It was like I saw the mom and the baby, and it was like my spirit went all the way up to them. And
Yeah.
then I felt their bond. Like I felt how much the mom loved the baby. I felt how much the baby loved the mom. Like it was beautiful, the bond. And then I remember like my spirit zoomed in towards the guys, and the guys, they were like cutting it up, like doing inside jokes, and only
Right.
they understood. And I was hearing the words, but I didn't understand their language, like their love language. But I saw it and I felt it. And at the time I didn't understand, like, because like people talk about death and they say, oh, I saw my I saw
Mm,
Jesus, or I saw a loved one, or whatever. And it's like I didn't know these people. And so throughout my healing process after the NDE, like I asked God, I'm like, God, who were
yeah.
these
Who were
people?
they?
Or yeah, like what was this? And God showed me that these were people that had passed away. And
Okay.
God showed me that um they represented aspects of God's love. And I'm getting goosebumps everywhere.
Interesting. Interesting.
So God showed me the love of a mother and a child, which I just had a child, and being a mother. And
Yeah.
then God showed me the bond between brothers, like how
Interesting.
strong that loving bond really is, and how that is an aspect of who God is. And
Interesting.
I started like looking up some of like the different types of love. We have agape love, which
Right.
is like the unconditional love, and they have phileo love, like the brotherly love, and there's all these different loves. And God was showing me that's where God dwells. God dwells within the connection and the love that we cultivate within ourselves and within each other. And
Mm,
it brought me to a whole another level of understanding, and it brought me to tears because I thought, oh, so when God let me experience, like, even though I'm not a man in this lifetime and I don't know what it's like to have a band of brothers, in that moment I felt that. I
yeah.
felt what that felt like, and it was like, it was so strong. It was as strong as like the mom and the baby. It was so beautiful. So I started to see God in different aspects of people, and in how we cultivate this love, even if it's like a conversation that we're having right now
Right.
with for our higher selves, for the collective,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and also just like our bloodlines too. Like this is making our ancestors proud, and bringing everybody together, and like this ripples out into the cosmos, whether we understand it on a level or not. We might think it's something simple, but it's not. It's cultivating the spirit and the presence of God.
That is beautiful. Interesting. Why do you think that like you specifically were shown that for yours? Did you ever get clarity in that?
I believe it's because I have always seen I grew up in a Christian home,
Okay.
and God was dealing with me about religious belief systems, because like I wanted to see like Jesus,
Yeah.
and sorry, it's gonna make me cry.
Oh no, go ahead.
God's like, you don't see me in the mom and the baby. You don't
Mm.
see me in the brothers bonding.
Mm.
Do you see it? And I was just like, oh my God, that's what it means, like to be the hands and feet of God, to be Christ embodied, to be, you know, because religion can make you think, oh, Jesus is just this outside man, but
Right.
w- it's God's spirit imparted in us to be able to cultivate light and love. Um,
Mm.
and to me, that's like the new earth,
Yeah.
that we're creating together. And I always thought it was like a outside, just a man or something, and it's like God was
Mm.
showing me like I am the beauty of that beach. I am that water. I am that sky. I am that love cultivated between the people. Um, and it became like deeper and more sacred to me.
Wow. Now, you did go in the water a little bit, but before you could get too far, you saw your mom. Can you talk about like that experience and the significance of seeing your mom during this experience?
Yes. So I didn't actually see her. I heard her, and what
Ah.
this basically what happened, and it aggravates me every time I talk about this. But I was going towards the water, and like as soon as my foot went to go hit the water, my mom called my name.
Mm.
And she called it very, very assertive, and she called it twice.
Wow.
And it was almost like I felt like I was a little kid about to cross like a highway, and
Yeah.
the urgency in her voice. And so when she called my name the second time, because the first time I didn't listen, I kept wanting to go. And
Right,
the
right.
second time I turned, and as soon as I turned my head, I was back in my body, back in the hospital, and my mom was praying over me. And
Mm.
so it was like I don't know if it was like her attachment to me wouldn't let me go, or maybe it's just because I had unfinished business to do
Yeah.
here. I still needed to raise my children, but really I have a message, and it's like, okay, I'm supposed to come back and do the message, you
Right.
know? So I'm always like, okay, okay, God, like however you want to use me, use my story to be able to deliver whatever message that people need to hear. So as much as I get frustrated that I'm like, Mom, you couldn't let me die. You couldn't let
Of
me
course not. You know,
I was literally like almost in heaven. Like it felt so peaceful and amazing, and like, and it just, my connection with her, and my connection, I guess my higher self was like, nope, you got some things to do. And
man, that I think of like the power of a mother's prayer. Like, they
whew,
always say that, like it's the mother's prayer. And
that
it just, even I don't even know why I teared up just now, even saying that, like, but it's like that power of a mother's prayer.
and
Like,
let me break that down for a second. The power of a mom's prayer, okay? I felt like her prayer was almost more powerful than what I wanted to do. You see what I'm saying? Because
mm,
I wanted
that's
to go,
crazy.
and
Right.
and her prayer was even more powerful than me wanting to go. And I think about Mother Mary and Jesus, like how much Jesus loved his mama. You know how much
Yeah.
just sons in general, sons be
Yeah.
really loving their mom. And it's
Right.
because the mother's love is like the closest thing to me to God, like
God
that
love.
heart, that emotion,
Yeah.
that just raw love of like that mama bear.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like for God to honor, because I love Mother Mary. I'm big
Yeah.
on Mother Mary. I channel Mother Mary a lot. And like a lot of like people in religion, they either worship Mother Mary or they say don't worship Mother Mary, whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is that Jesus loved his mama,
Yeah.
period. And so
Yeah.
like he a mother's prayer, a mother is going to be honored for sure. It's powerful.
Mm. Mm.
So for anybody watching, if you've been praying for your kids or you've been praying for something, just understand that God does hear you. God
Yeah.
does hear you, and it's like your prayer is more powerful than any attack of the enemy, than anything, because the devil, like, some people believe in the devil, some people don't, but the enemy was trying to take my life that day,
Right.
to
Yeah.
kill, steal, and destroy. And like, I got a second chance. I got a whole nother chance at, like, okay, how can I do this thing differently?
Right.
And it
And
was because of that prayer.
can you talk about because you said that when you came back into your body, like you saw someone there with you, but you only saw, like, your mom was in the room with you praying and she didn't see it. But can you talk about that experience? Because I think that's big.
That was crazy because, like, so when I got, so first of all, when I left my body, the
Hmm.
room that I was in was chaotic. There was like a bunch of nurses in there, was all kinds of stuff going on. When my mom had called my name and I came back to my body, everything was quiet. There was nobody in the room except my mom. The lights were dim, real low. Everything was
Mm,
calm, quiet. She was just praying over me by herself. And so when I came back into my body, I felt peace still.
yeah.
It was like the peace that I had felt where I was, where I had just gone. It came with me. So I had felt peace. And I looked over at my mom, and it was almost like, okay, she's praying over me. I can rest.
Mm,
And whenever I said, okay, I could rest, it was almost like how I remember it. It was almost like a time lapse video. Have you ever watched like those nature videos, and it shows like a time lapse, and it'll show like the sun rising, then the water flowing, and it's real
yeah.
fast like that?
Yeah.
That it felt like that. It felt like I so I looked over, and there was this like shadow, and I thought it was my mom, because I said, "Mom, thanks for laying in bed with me,"
Yeah.
and she said, "I didn't lay in bed with you." Because when I said time lapse, basically this shadow entity came over, sat with me, and we was chopping it up, girl. When I tell you we was I'm not even playing, we was chopping it up. That's
Yeah.
why it was such a familiar spirit that I thought it was my mother.
What were y'all
It was
saying to each other?
okay, so it was no words. It was
Hmm.
just all feels, and like it came over, sat with me on my bed, let me know everything's cool, you are good. Let's get you feeling better.
Yeah.
Laid with me, like um I felt like I was tumbling in the bed, like
Mm,
with the entity, like I was like playing, like
hmm.
playing, like wrestling in the bed, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
was chopping it up,
And
like
this
with
is
my
like your
little.
is this like your spirit doing this, or like your physical body? Because I asked this because you had just had a cesarean, right?
I
Like, what
had
is
just
this?
had a cesarean, so this must have been my spirit,
Yeah.
because I literally, I thought, because you have to define what you think is real, right? Is it your
Right.
physical body, or is it your spirit? Because even
Mm,
though I was back in my physical body and my mom was praying over me, once I took that breath and I saw that entity, I thought it was my mom, come over to me and sit with me. It felt like it was all day, 2 days of us just chopping it up, like laying in
interesting.
the bed, hugging each other, wrestling around, da da da, like all this
Hmm.
stuff. And then I felt it lay on me, and I just started feeling like so much better. Like it laid on
Mm,
me, like hugging me and stuff. And I started to feel so much better. And whenever I went home from the hospital, I had said to my mom, "Thank you for that. Thank
mm,
you so much for laying with me, for being there." I don't know if you just saw that orb, but I said, "Thank you for being there for me." And she said, "I didn't lay with you. I did not do all that, girl." And I was like, if it wasn't you, it was somebody very close to that. It was the Holy Spirit, an angel of Archangel Raphael. It was a guardian angel.
it
It
was
was my
something. It was
it
that
was
the power of a mother's prayer. Them brought
it was it really was. And
the,
it was like it gave me warmth and light, and like I
yeah.
I started to feel my body come back to life. And I call it a ministering angel,
Hmm.
because it didn't just come and like heal me, it ministered to me, like it stayed with me. It was almost like a best friend came to my bedside and was like, listen, I'm not leaving until you better. Until
Right.
I know that you're better and you're stable, and then I will leave. But until then, I'm not leaving your side. And I was just
Hmm.
like, thank you. And it didn't. It stayed there with me. And I know it was a spirit of God
That's
that
beautiful.
came. Yeah.
And what, from your mom's perspective, what was going on? Like, what was all this happening for her? Like, what was she seeing?
So she told me that she did call my name twice. She said she
Okay.
yelled my name twice. She said because my vitals had dropped so low
Mm.
that she felt like me losing. Like she said, I felt like I was losing you.
Yeah.
She said, so I was trying to wake you up. And she said,
Mm.
and I did. She said, I screamed your name twice.
Wow.
And so she actually did scream my name twice. But she said that there was just a lot going on. Like she said that I was out of it, completely out of it, and there was just a lot going on with the doctors and the nurses, and you know, um they couldn't. I died of morphine induced hypothermic shock. And
Mm.
so when they gave me the morphine, they didn't keep me warm enough. And so I lost
Okay.
homeostasis and I lost all my heat, and my all my vitals started to plummet. So it basically replicated like mountain climbers that climb to like high altitudes, and then they get hypothermia, and
Okay.
they get so cold that their body thinks that they're hot, and
Okay.
so they start taking off their clothes. And that's why whenever they find them frozen, they'll say they're frozen, but they're naked. And a lot of the times their clothes is right next to them. And that's why, is because
Hmm.
they didn't know if they were hot or they were cold. So that's what was happening to me. Is at first I was just hot, and I kept telling them, hey, I need some ice. I need to take off my clothes. I'm hot, and then they were like, when they finally figured out what was going on, they told me, no, 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 you're not hot. You're cold, and we
Mm.
got to get you warmed up from the inside out. So they were trying to give me like warm IV fluids and stuff like that to get me, get my core temperature back up.
Hmm.
So I was basically like freezing to death um
Wow.
in those moments, which is so weird because it reminds me of like, I guess you could say like a hell, a nature of hell, because some people
Hmm.
say like hell is on fire, but some people say like hell you
Interesting.
know and i
Interesting.
i experienced that in that moment. It was like I didn't know if I was so hot or so cold. I didn't know what I was.
Interesting.
But I do know when I was in the presence of God, I was whole.
Okay.
I was completely like like without God's love, there's no animation. Without God's love, there's no cold or hot, like comfort. There's no
Yeah.
kind of comfort. There's no kind of like
Hmm.
you're going to be hot, you're going to be cold, you're going to be thirsty, you're going to be starving for joy without the presence of God, without God's love. That's why it's so important that we cultivate it between us and in the world and within ourselves.
I love that. And I want to talk about your spiritual gifts, because you had like a premonition even before you was given birth, that something didn't feel right. Can you explain that premonition and your spiritual gifts?
Yes. So I've always had spiritual gifts, like since I was young. I just
Okay.
always like I would see spirits when I was real young. I'm coming out with a series. I already came out with like the first two episodes. It's called Supernatural Sightings of the Dark Realm, and it talks about like when I was a kid, just different spirits I saw when I was a kid. But I used
Wow.
to be scared. I knew
Yeah.
I was anointed, like I was anointed. I had a lot of authority, I had a lot of light. um but then there was also so much suppression, so much toxicity, so much like
Mm,
generational curses and things I was dealing with that wasn't even mine to deal with. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of scared of my gifts and I would ignore them sometimes. Like God would tell me, like, it could be something simple as like, don't hang out with those friends. And
mm.
then I'd be like, I know I shouldn't hang out with them, but I'm gonna go hang out with them anyways. And then like some bullshit pop off or
Right.
happen. And I'm like, dang, I knew
Like
I
you
should
should
have
have
listened to
listened.
the spirit. Yeah. And so basically I already um had premonitions, dreams, before I even ever picked up an oracle deck. I already came from a bloodline of oracles.
So your spiritual gifts were already heightened before your NDE, because usually people tell me after the NDE that's when they have like some sort of. I always say like, so you came back with powers. And one of my guests, he said like, I don't believe you can get that close to God and not come back with something like, you know.
Agreed, agreed. I was definitely activated because even though I already had supernatural powers or abilities, they were laying dormant within me because of my own ignorance or because of my own fear or because of
Mm,
my own limitations. A lot of it is because people, a lot of the times, we try to run from our calling.
speak on
God
it.
wants us to do this, and we're like, well, I want to do this.
Right.
You know what I
Speak on
mean?
it. Yeah.
So that's the boat I was in. It was like God was talking to me and dealing with me about self-love, about choosing better relationships, about healing certain things that I went through so that I can choose better partners. But I still I was kind of listening because like I had went celibate for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a one night stand and I got pregnant with my son.
And that's the one that you had.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and I had to make a decision. I said, okay, I always tell people if you're thinking about an abortion, just take it before God yourself
Hmm.
because this is a personal walk,
Yeah.
and this is not to condemn anybody or judge anybody. It's you taking the time to go to God yourself and ask God what you feel in your heart. And so through experience, I was like, okay, I know I was doing better because I did the 2 years of celibacy. That was like my first awakening that I had. God was showing me about certain things like quantum, certain
Quantum jumping, quantum physics.
yeah, just like the pyramids and like certain things. And I was kind of getting my third eye was starting to just barely starting to open. And and then I fell into temptation and I had sex that one time. And then and what a how can I say, a crossroads. It became a crossroads moment because I had to decide, okay, what am I going to do? Because
Mm.
I had some health problems. I knew I was already a single mom of two. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
Yeah,
I already
exactly.
knew not to do that. I did it anyways. Now here I am. Now what, girl? What?
Yeah. Yeah, like
So
what
I
am I
had to
gonna do?
really, yeah, I had to tap in, and I chose to keep the baby. And of course, I lost friends, a whole bunch of friends. People didn't like me. I had to really get real with myself and be like, you know what? It doesn't matter if people don't like me. I'm not here to people please.
Yeah.
I'm here to please God. And so I knew going in, you know, this is certain things that I'm suffering right now based on my own choices, but I know because God told me I'm Emmanuel. And when I looked up Emmanuel, it says God is with us.
Yeah, I
And I
love
said,
that
okay,
name.
God, you are with me. So let's go. And that's what we have to remember. We might not know all the directions in life and we don't know all that stuff, but do you know God is with you? Do you know your ancestors ride for you? Do you know the angels got your back? Even if you're on your deathbed, do you know that an angel will come and minister you back to health?
Mm. Mm.
Especially if you still have a purpose and things to do. So, anyways, so I started to become more obedient. And when I say obedient, I don't mean like, oh, I'm just listening to an outside God, do this, do that, do this. No. I started listening to my intuition. So the voice that
Hmm.
was always telling me this or that, my higher self, I started to listen. I started to trust myself more and be like, okay, so I kept my son, and then I had to experience all this stuff with dying. But yeah, God told me 2 days before I went to have this baby. I felt the anesthesia. I just felt it in my, like, I can't
Ah,
even explain it. I felt the anesthesia, and I felt fear. And so I prayed. I was like, okay, God, I know you got me, but then I felt like, okay, I need to tell the anesthesiologist. Like, I was like, I'm scared of you. I said, it's not
yeah,
anything else, it's you. It's something with you. And they were like, no, you've done this twice before. Everything's gonna be fine, blah, blah, blah. But I knew in my spirit. And when we walked down that hallway towards the operating room, I always say it felt like the walk of death. But there was nothing I could do. It was like taking God's hand and saying, okay, God, I know I'm about to die, but
yeah.
if you're really who you say you are,
You'll
then you
bring me
gonna bring
back.
me out.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's what happened.
Wow.
That's what happened. And it wasn't easy, because after, when God brought me back, that was just the beginning, because there was so much that God wanted to heal me from, just about that experience itself.
Yeah.
And there was so much that like healing and work that I've had to do every single day. Like, I still am healing,
Yeah.
from childhood things, and from also from just that situation, just going through a near death experience. And there's so much I'm learning about loving myself, and being able to love other people, and like who Christ really is, what unconditional love really is, what the sacred heart of God really is. And so I would say it just began then.
Yeah, it
So
almost
my son
sounds
is
like this was a
7.
catalyst. It almost sounds like you were on this path, and then you fell into temptation and you got pregnant, but God still was like, you know what? Like, I still got you. And this experience was like a catalyst for you to continue to learn and keep going down like the path that you were going prior to your one night stand. Wow.
Yes.
Well, can you talk about some of the healing work that you do, for people, and sort of like how you do it? Like what's that like, so people can know, like, if they're going through something, they can, book Sarah. Like,
Yes. Yes, please do. Like, basically, what I do for healing is this type of stuff. I
mm,
love doing podcasts. I love doing just collaborations with other divine beings, divine individuals that have purposes. Like, this is Vision Rebirth, right down
yeah,
my alley. You're
right,
constantly having a new vision. You're constantly being birthed into another evolution, another version of yourself.
yeah,
And so it's like, that's right down my alley. That's what I do. So I always try to tell people, like, you're not your situation. You're
yeah,
not the things you've gone through. Those things that you've gone through, there, it's a part of a blueprint. It's for a reason, so that you can step into your purpose fully and have that weight behind it, like that
mm,
experience behind it.
right,
So it's like, oh yeah, I can get through this because so and so has been through something similar, and blah 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 blah, and look at, their testimony. So it's like, my life is living proof that God is real. So in my healings, like, I do, my favorite stuff to do, I love music and poetry and stuff like that. But what I find that has helped the collective the most is like my readings. So I just am a vessel, I'm just a vessel, I'm just the messenger. So I just ask God, like, whatever you want to say through me. And then, I put out collective videos. When someone wants to book a one-on-one with me, we can do whatever basically they want to do. If they want to do a love reading, if they
okay,
want to do like a life purpose or a past life or anything like that. But I always tell people, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. Like God is in the business of not changing our situations, but changing who we are. and like
Let's speak
making
on
us
it.
into the better versions that
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to be. So like a lot of the times when people get like love readings, a lot of the times like inner child stuff will come up, because a lot of the stuff that blocks our love life is our stuff that we still haven't healed from our childhood or from past partnerships. And same thing with like I've done like past life readings and things like that, and some of that is wounds that comes up, wounds from a whole
Mm.
nother past life that
Right.
you don't even know you need to heal, but you're like, dang,
You
that
still
hits a
carrying it.
that hits a
Mm.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use like my voice to be a conduit of spirit to be able to help people heal on an emotional level, on a DNA level. And that's what I call water alchemy. It's not just
Okay.
using water, speaking to water. You could speak to water and you could take a bath, and that's and speaking in the bath into the water, that's great, but speaking to life, to our own DNA and to each other, for two feminines like this, we're divine beings because we can come on here and it's complete love and a complete flow of the spirit, right?
Right.
And we've allowed ourselves to heal in certain areas that I can see your beauty and you can see mine, and we can
Right.
collaborate together. But like what happens a lot is like there's a lot of unhealed people, and they can't collaborate and they can't do things because they have envy in their heart and they have jealousy in their
Mm.
heart and they have hatred in their heart, and it's just because they got to cultivate some love within themselves to say, okay, I'm not supposed to be like Erica. Erica ain't supposed to be like Sarah. Erica's supposed to be Erica. Sarah's supposed to be Sarah. And in that is the divinity of the call and the fulfilling of the templates, the blueprints of who, our prime creator made us to be.
Mm. Mm. And do you use, so when you say you do your readings, are you're channeling, like you're not, are you using tarot cards or it's just channeling?
It's all of it.
Okay.
So I use oracle cards, I use tarot cards, oracle cards. I also have like I've made like 7 or 8 decks of my own decks,
Okay.
of like downloads that I have. And it's so divine because, like, for instance, like this deck right here, this deck, there's probably 200 cards in here of different downloads that I've wrote.
Okay.
And when I do a reading with this, how the cards flow together, it's so divine. It's something
Interesting.
I couldn't do it if I tried. i
Yeah.
couldn't I couldn't match up. I couldn't find the cards that would match and put them together and figure it out if I tried. But the way it flows and the way it is for the collective, it's so healing, the messages that come out. And I'm just like honored that God would allow me to be able to
To be a
use
vessel.
my story
Mm-hmm.
for a purpose. Because I would say the worst thing that a person could do is like go through hard things and then like succumb to them and um not stand up.
Mm.
You stand. There's life after death.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is life after death.
Yeah. I love that.
So
What?
like I split this in half. I just split this whole deck in half, and it says, all we take with us, this is to show you how divine this is, because in this deck is not about NDEs. This
Yeah.
deck is not about this deck is not about dying.
Right.
But this card, it says, all we take with us when we die is love.
Mm.
The
Look at
love,
that.
the love, girl.
Look
I'm
at
telling
that.
you, like, look how divine God is, because I just said this to you.
Yeah.
And it says the love that we have cultivated within us and within each other, just like I had said to you.
Mm.
That's what we take with us when we die, is the love that we have cultivated. So if people are scared, like, oh, when I die, I'm gonna be alone or this or that, well, then you haven't cultivated any love within yourself or love within people.
Mm.
You take like a lonely old man when he's old. What have you cultivated?
Right.
Apparently, you cultivated that your whole life.
Mm.
You know. So this is talking about you're not gonna take anything with you when you die, and all that you're going to take with you is what you have cultivated within you and within each other. So in this life, we're supposed to be cultivating. What is cultivating? It's like gardening.
Woman. Yeah.
What are we
Oh.
supposed to be sowing? Seeds of love. That's why what we're doing right now, even though, hey, I bet you neither one of us get paid a lot right now. But it's not about that.
I'm about to say I
This
don't
is
even have a job right now.
that's what this is. And the thing is you want a matrix job or do you want purpose?
Right.
And which one really does pay more? Because we can't outgive God. And all this stuff is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And where, when we cross over, it's like, what are you bringing with you? What
Yeah.
did you cultivate? Erica, you cultivated time that you put in for God's kingdom of love.
Mm.
We're putting in time. We over there sowing seeds and manifesting and doing all
Yeah.
this. Some people, you can't see it all the time right away, but that don't mean that we ever lose faith in the promised land, in the promise being fulfilled.
Right.
you
That's
know
beautiful.
so I think that that's why I ended up having to come back, because God's like, whoa, wait, promise not fulfilled yet. Promise not
Yeah,
fulfilled
you're
yet.
not
We got
done.
some, you know yeah. And on the other side of our death, right, whether it's a physical death or a spiritual death, is is healing for other people.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like we go through deaths and rebirths, right? And it hurts to us. It might hurt to us,
Yeah.
but it is actually a birth of something new.
Just like when I
So
mean
like you said,
childbirth isn't hunky dory from what I hear. It's not hunky dory when you're birthing trying to birth your child. Like you're not sitting there like lolly dolly da. Like it's hard. It's hard.
and then you'll have people tell you it's worth it.
Yeah, that's what they
People
all
will tell
say.
you.
They say it's definitely worth it at the end. Well, Sarah,
So
how can the people find you? Of course, I'm gonna have this info in the description, but just let the people know how they can find you, book you, talk to you, because this was a great conversation.
yes, thank you so much for holding space for me, and thank you for having me on this Vision Rebirth. I really appreciate it.
Of
And if
course.
anybody wants to reach out to me, you guys can email me or you can go to my website. All the information's on my website at lighthousedelphi.com. You can find my oracle decks, how to book a reading. You can find my merchandise as well as my book on there. Um, and it has my email address on there too. If you just want to email me and just reach out, that's okay as well.
That's love. Well, thank you again, Sarah, for taking the time out to be on the show. I definitely enjoyed it. I know the people will enjoy it. Of course, Vision Rebirth on all platforms. Make sure you subscribe and follow. You can find me at _real E on all platforms. And thanks everybody for listening. This is Vision Rebirth and cut.